everyone, and welcome to our new podcast episode on Technically Speaking. We are here today in the beautiful Newcastle and with Sam Thompson from Aspire IT. Hi Sam, how are you?
Good,
yeah. Good? Yeah, well, we're really excited within this episode to just explore, obviously, how you started to get into the IT sector and explore the evolving landscape of the IT sector, because it's huge and it's always expanding, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But Happy New Year, and we're in a brand new year. How are you feeling about a new year?
Good, optimistic.
Yeah.
Lots of change, lots of New Year's resolutions. So yeah.
Have you stuck to any New Year's resolutions, or some dropped off a little bit?
I think I need to give it a bit of time yet and see what happens. I think so far so good.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see.
That's perfect. Well, we're very excited within this episode just to get to know you a little bit better. But before we do that, I'm going to do a little bit of a would you rather with you. Are you up for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, just so our viewers and our listeners can just get to know you that little bit better. Okay, so would you rather have the ability to fly or to be invisible?
To fly.
Yeah, that's a good
Definitely.
answer. Would you rather live in a world where it's always winter or it's always summer?
Oh, that is a good one.
Yeah, I feel like it's a tricky one.
I'm going to say summer. I'm sick of the cold weather now. I always tell myself in summer that I prefer winter,
Yeah.
but then when it gets to winter, I prefer the summer, so just change my mind per the seasons.
Like a bit of both.
Yeah.
Love that. And last one is, would you rather live in a treehouse or in an underwater city?
An underwater city.
That would be pretty cool, a bit like
That does
Aquaman,
sound
you know.
cool.
Well, okay, so I hope our listeners know you just a little bit better. Sometimes we just like to do those fun little questions just to get to know you aside of obviously doing what you do within IT. But we're going to delve into some questions. And we've also asked our apprentices, our IT apprentices, to put forward some questions, because we thought what better way than to get questions from people who are just starting out into the IT sector. And some people might be on this podcast episode, they might not know a lot about the IT world. I'm a marketing girl. I don't know quite a lot, but it's going to be amazing to sort of just to get to know what you do and what's actually going on within the IT landscape. So to start us off, could you just talk a little bit about what you do, who you work for, and how long you've been in IT?
Yeah, so I manage the end user tier 2 team at Aspire on the service desk.
Yeah.
Aspire are a managed service provider. That basically means we provide various different things to businesses relating to IT. So that could be network support, end user support. If an IT team wants sort of an overhaul of their IT infrastructure, then we can do that as part of a project as well. But yeah, I come from a service desk background, so my sort of day-to-day responsibilities are we take escalations from our end user tier 1 team and our quick fix team as well. It's probably a bit of a good idea that I give you a bit of a background on the service desk as a whole, just to sort of contextualize where I sit. So the front door of the service desk is the quick fix team. So quick fix aim to fix things in around about 20 minutes. They're a technical resource to sort of help customers when they ring in to ideally fix it first time then and there. Just so they don't have to be sort of subject to SLA times a little bit further down the desk. So anything that quick fix can't fix, that gets escalated to our tier 2 level of the service desk. On tier 2, we have end user, networks, infrastructure, comms. And then above those teams, you have our third line teams. So they're an escalation point for all of tier 2. Some of those teams are split into different tiers as well. They have sort of tiers within the teams, end user being one of them. So yeah, the fixes that we do and to sort of get down to the actual work that we do, it's nitty-gritty fixes for end users. Anything sort of single user based, we'll have a look at. So by the time a ticket's actually got to us in tier 2 end user, it's already been through sort of 2 waves of people trying to fix that. So the fixes we apply are often quite hard and complicated to come across. So fixing sort of niche, difficult things is something that we do specialize in. We normally sort of, get around a computer together, have a look, and really all sort of chip in for an issue. So yeah, that's sort of on an overarching level.
It seems like there's obviously a lot of collaboration that goes on within all the different teams, and there's obviously a lot of different processes that you go to, but you ultimately all work together, which is great to hear. Just to get to know a bit about your background, let's go back a little bit. How did you first get into IT? Like, what qualifications do you have? Like, where did you start?
So I started with an apprenticeship through Baltic, actually.
Yeah.
So I was in a bit of a weird scenario. I was doing music at college.
All right.
And I had a bit of a panic, and I thought, God, I feel like this isn't going to be, for me personally, something that, is going to pay my bills when I'm older. It's quite a competitive industry. It's not too reliable in terms of, an income. So I thought I'd like to move to IT. And I was a bit worried initially. I thought, I've spent 2 years in college doing music. I'm sort of 2 years behind where I would have been had I just gone and done IT initially. I was part of a team of students that were. It was like a. Can't think of the word to use. It was like a team of people that Baltic put together to do like an intense level 3 course.
Right.
So I think it typically takes around about a year to do that course, but then we did it. I think it was in 3 months.
Wow.
And we did it on site with a trainer from Baltic. Sort of at a customer's office. And then at the end of that training program, there was apprenticeships available at that customer. So it was great. It was sort of like a crash course in IT, and it sort of taught us all the basics, gave you an idea of, where you want to go in IT, because I think a lot of people, myself included, didn't really know about all the different areas that there were. So started off there, and I got an apprenticeship there as well. I did that for around about 4 years whilst doing my apprenticeship qualifications. So I did the level 3, I did level 4 as well. So it was like internal IT. It was great. It was a fantastic role. I sort of honed my craft there and sort of learned all of the basic principles and did my studying as well, which was great. Then I moved to an MSP. I moved to Aspire. It was interesting, the move from internal IT to a managed service provider. I actually thought I was sort of second line level in terms of my ability. But then when I moved here, it was quite humbling as an experience because I found that I wasn't second line at all. I was, whilst it was great working for the internal IT team, I learned quite a lot, and I knew the infrastructure and the platforms there really well. But then when I moved to Aspire, and the nature of work we do means that we have sort of loads of different customers that have different bespoke needs, all have different bits of infrastructure that we need to get involved in. So sort of being exposed to new technologies that I'd never seen before, that was the humbling part. And yeah, I think it's great to work for an MSP because of that.
Yeah.
You get, experience on lots of different technologies. Your learning sort of skyrockets. In terms of roles that I've had here and how I've developed here, I came into what was the first line team. That then developed as we grew as a business into what's the end user team. So I was an engineer initially, then became a team leader of the team. Then I was a senior engineer, and then got back into being a manager again. But yeah, I mean, managing is great. I do love parts of the things that come with that role. In terms of qualifications, it was a bit of a funny one for me because I didn't do any qualifications for a really long time. And I think because I went into a more managerial role, my learning, the sort of doors that opened because I got that role were quite extensive, and I learned lots sort of naturally in my job. That being said, I did get to a point where I thought I should probably do some qualifications. I feel like, I want to get back into being certified and all that sort of stuff. So I've done the AZ 900 and the SC 900. So those are both exams based around Azure and the security of Azure. Great for getting your foot on the ladder in terms of looking down the cloud route, if that's where you'd want to go. It did really help me in my role as well, and it helped me train staff members. It's sort of what I've learned. So yeah.
That's so good. You've definitely been on like a very long journey, but a great journey to get where you are today. What year did you actually complete your apprenticeship? Can I just ask? Taking it back. Right. Cool. I know when you said that you were in college and you were studying music. It's really encouraging to know that you knew that you wanted to change something, that it's not too late to say, right, I want to start an apprenticeship, or right, I want to go into IT. Like, you took that step and said, I'm gonna change my path and go into the IT sector. So it's really encouraging to hear your story there. And obviously you were just talking about like gaining qualifications and adapting to technology advancements. How important is it to you? I know you've already said that when you've learned something from a qualification, you've passed that on to your team. How important is it for an individual to develop themselves and gain extra qualifications on top of an apprenticeship and other things?
Yeah, very important.
Yeah.
I'm massive on training as well. I actually do the training for end user and quick fix here.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably one of the best parts about the job, to be honest, is seeing people develop and, progress and learn from the people around them. In terms of extra qualifications, it is very important. I think it's important to push yourself, and I think to, look what's out there, and ultimately being certified is you saying, I can do this and here's the badge to prove it. So I think being certified really opens the doors initially for you. We certainly see that here, when people get certified, it opens up opportunities sort of in other teams on the service desk. If someone's gone away and got knowledge on a particular subject, then say like cloud, for example, people in our quick fix team are sort of chomping at the bit to progress and really move up and stand out. When a role does come up, it gets quite competitive. So being certified in cloud would be something that really does make someone stand out. So yeah, I do think it's very...
That's good. And I feel like no matter how far on the journey you are, for anyone in any industry, it's obviously really important to develop yourself and keep up to date with all of those advancements in any industry. Yeah. But that's great to hear. I know you obviously get up to a lot throughout your week and within your teams. Can you maybe share some funny or your favourite problems to solve in your day-to-day life? You might have some funny ones that you want to share.
Yeah. In terms of funny, I think the best one I've had is when I was an engineer. I was remoted onto someone's machine when they were working from home.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what the issue was that I was trying to fix, but as part of it, I asked the person to close all their windows.
Right.
And we sort of slowly came to the realization that I meant the windows on the machine.
Did they close their actual windows?
And they closed their actual windows in the house.
They're just gone for a second, like, where they gone?
Oh, it was funny, but it just goes to show, like, things like communication for us, it's so important.
Definitely.
That one was really funny. We had a good laugh about it on the phone, but yeah, I mean, it is really important, especially if we're, our method of communication is primarily the phone with customers. We don't necessarily see them. Yeah. And I think body language, when you are communicating, it is really handy. It's almost overlooked. Yeah. And I think you realise that when you're on the phone so much and, remoted onto machines. Yeah. Just how important it is, really. But in terms of my favourite ones, I think probably the ones where I think I've learned something from them. So the tickets that I remember sort of off the top of my head over the years are ones where I've had a bit of a nightmare fixing, and I've had to sort of reach out to colleagues and managers to try and help us fix it. And there might have been, the ticket might have been open for weeks, and I've been pulling my hair out trying to sort it, and eventually we do. And I've learned from the people around us. We've sort of had people sat at my desk, and we'll all sort of chip in and try and figure out what this root cause of the problem is. And yeah, I'd say they're probably the ones that I remember the most.
That's good. Well, they're literally just real life situations that you're helping to solve, aren't they? And I feel like every day could be different for you guys. But that's crazy about the window thing. Yeah,
I do like that one.
Okay, so in terms of strategies and approaches, what strategies and approaches do you use in complex situations to solve technical issues? What are some common things that you would go to?
So that's something that is quite common in my team. But like I said, it's been through 2 waves of people trying to fix something before it gets to our team. So it's quite common for us to get a ticket where loads of different things have been tried. And I think the best thing to do is don't panic, don't jump to any sort of really niche fixes initially. Start from the basics and just think logically. Ask the customer questions to give you triggers to be able to tell you where to look and almost like narrow down what the root cause of the problem might be, just systematically.
Yeah.
It's often that like two of us will get around a machine, give each other context on what it might be, and draw from two people's experience rather than one. And normally that means that we'll fix the issue doing that. And I think even Googling the problem as well, I think it's quite like, it's funny, people almost like don't want to mention that Googling something is a troubleshooting step.
Yeah.
But I Google things every day. Like it's just something that it's so useful.
Yeah.
Like
it's a tool that's there to use.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't do my job without it. ChatGPT
I was
as
just going to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It is really good. That has helped us fix things in the past before. So yeah, just drawing on the tools around us that we have available to help. We have like a knowledge base. We have your colleagues around you. We do training sessions as well to sort of try and broaden people's scope for troubleshooting.
Yeah.
So we do quite a lot to sort of try and help us going forward and broaden people's scope of fixing an issue. But yeah, I'd say my team, get around a computer, have a chat about it, try things logically, and just go from the basics. And
that's good, yeah.
9 times out of 10, that means that we'll fix something.
That's good. Again, a lot of collaboration is involved, which is great. Obviously, you've just mentioned ChatGPT. So for you, and obviously within the IT sector, like, how important and great is this advancement? Like, is this something that you guys would want to be using more in the future?
It's huge for us.
Yeah.
It really is a game changer.
Yeah.
I think AI has always been there, and it's always been, I guess, available to some extent. But it's only been within the past year or so, I'd say, where personally I've really felt the benefit of an AI tool like ChatGPT.
I mean, there's probably other tools that you can be using as well.
Yeah, there's loads out there now. It seems, it's only getting more popular, and I think it's a great tool. I mean, we started almost like encapsulating AI into our help desk now, and we're saying AI basically help us improve efficiencies across what we do, and just streamline the services that we provide. And it really works. It's sort of showing its benefit at this point now for us. So yeah, it's great.
That's
very
good.
important.
Very, very good. Okay, we're going to jump to some sort of professional development sort of topics. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So in terms of like skills and hiring skills, like if someone's wanting to start out within the IT sector, what are some like top tips and advice that you could give them? Maybe they're going for an interview, or maybe they're going for the interview for their apprenticeship. What are some top tips you could give them?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say learn from the people around you.
Yeah.
If you're already at a workplace, learn from the people around you. Speak to people, network with people as well. That's really important. I think when I first sort of started out in IT and someone mentioned networking to me, I sort of thought of like going to an event.
Yeah.
Like where people would specifically go to network. And I thought, I don't know if that's for me. I don't know realistically, if I would do that. I don't know if I'm naive by thinking, that I wouldn't get a benefit from it, but I don't know. I just think networking like internally, networking with people in different teams, different areas of the business, with your friends, people who work in other businesses that are your sort of counterparts. You learn a lot, and I think opportunities come from that as
definitely.
well. And we see that internally as well. We've actually had a new starter in the past sort of 6-7 months here, and he's just networked really well across the business to the point where he's pretty much the face of our team. And I always get great feedback from him, and that's opened up a lot of doors for him.
Yeah.
I can see that, and the opportunity that it's presented to him is great as a result. If you're going for the interview and you're not yet in your apprenticeship, being certified is a good way of doing that and sort of setting yourself apart. The fundamental exams from Microsoft are a great way to do that. Do your research as well. Do your research on the business. I think a big part of what makes me like someone quite a lot in an interview is if I can see they've put in the effort. Like that is a massive part. Like, yes, if someone's technical, then fantastic, great. But soft skills are a massive part of it as well. If someone is personable and, is confident in an interview with you, it does really make that person stand out. And I think someone doing the homework, so to speak, on the business and, seeing that someone really cares makes a massive difference.
Yeah, I think obviously what you're saying there about soft skills, like obviously having organisational skills, communication, obviously those are key. And like you're saying, doing a little bit of research about the company that you're going to was obviously a great step ahead when you're going into that interview. Obviously you were talking about networking a little bit there. Obviously it's quite daunting if you were to go out into the world and go to events. That can be daunting for quite a lot of people. But obviously we've got platforms like LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn yourself?
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you use that, or is it sort of like, how do you use that?
I do. I do use it. I don't post that much on LinkedIn, but
I guess your name's out there in a sense.
Yeah. I do share things on LinkedIn that I'm a fan of. I think I should probably use LinkedIn a little bit more, to be honest. I think it is a really useful tool, especially for young people as well. Just to see what is out there, what are other people up to, what do other people work towards and want to develop towards that are in the industry that they want to go in. I think it's really important. It's a good tool.
Do you think it's important, like, for someone like yourself who's really been successful in your career journey so far, like, do you think it's important to keep on that, like, keep networking even though you're in a really great role?
Definitely, yeah. And I think no doubt I will come across a scenario where I think had I been on LinkedIn and maybe been a bit more present and active on LinkedIn, it might help us in that scenario that I'm in. And I see people on LinkedIn now reap the rewards from being active and, having a good network on LinkedIn. I do think I should probably use it more. And I think it is really handy for young people to go on there and do their research.
Yeah, no, that's great. I just want to ask you if you've got any extra advice that you could give people who are potentially wanting to sort of explore that IT sector, maybe not yet thought of an apprenticeship, but something that's on their radar. What's some just advice and encouragement that you could give?
It's a really fun sector to work in. It genuinely does feel like, every day is different across various different roles. It keeps you on your toes and it is fun work to do. It feels like you're part of something bigger that is doing something really cool and providing help and assistance to people daily is, for me, something that is quite rewarding. It's quite nice to get, feedback from customers, to know that we're helping them, we're making their days easier. In terms of advice for someone that's already in a role, learning from people around you, I know I've mentioned that, is a massive part of it. And I think push yourself as well. I think the world of IT is massive. I think there's so many different avenues to go down. The possibilities are endless, really, in terms of what you could do. I think doing your research around what is actually out there is important. A good way to do that is to look at the Microsoft certified courses that are out there and the fundamental level exams.
There's quite a lot of them.
There's loads, there's tons, and you learn a lot through doing them as well. And I think, if you were looking for an apprenticeship, I think to gain a certification that's on the fundamental level would be an amazing starting point in an interview. I think to say, I don't have an apprenticeship yet, but to set myself apart and to, really, really push myself and make sure I'm doing the most that I possibly can whilst not having an apprenticeship, I've gone and done this. and this is an exam that I have now because of that. You don't have to do that, but I think to show the initiative to, go do something and to develop and progress yourself whilst you have the opportunity, great, do it. And it really makes a person stand out.
Definitely. And I love what you were saying there, like learning from the people around you. I know you've obviously mentioned that, but like it really is important. Obviously people have been down different avenues and they're learning in so many different aspects as well. So being aware and opening your eyes to your surroundings within your team, I think is really important. And obviously just jumping back to an apprenticeship, what is to you the power of an apprenticeship? Like, why has it helped you get you to where you are? What is the power within it?
That's a good question. I would say, so I've found through training staff members here and speaking to people over the course of, my career, that most people in IT will learn best from being shown something and then going to do that themselves, and then having someone sort of on standby almost to ask questions as the person goes along. Certainly how I learn best. So, I think that is, especially at Aspire, how I've learned what I know, managerially and technically, just through, sitting with my manager and just drawing from their experience. As much as I think reading up on subjects is a great method, and especially towards certification, then, there are times where it is a bit more appropriate to read and, go a bit more formal. But I think just sitting down with someone tends to be a great way to learn, and just asking people questions. Like, don't be scared to ask someone a question and come across as a bit naive or, unknowledgeable.
Yeah.
I think once you've got over that, once you're comfortable asking people questions and you're not too worried about coming across as, knowledgeable, it really opens up doors for you, and your development gets a bonus because of that. And I think, people asking me questions like that, it makes me want to invest in them as well. Like, it only shows that person's trying to learn and push themselves and develop. And I think it's really important. And I try and sort of nurture that with someone as well and encourage it. I say to all my new starters in the team, no question's a silly question. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's good though. It's so true, really is important. And I've seen people kind of be a bit reluctant at first to do that. It's quite common for, people to maybe feel like they've been doing something for a period of time and they maybe feel like
they can't ask
they've been here for too long and they can't ask. And I've seen people come out of that scenario as well and start just asking the questions that they feel like they want to ask. And we see that reflected in performance as well. Like, when people go through that process of just ask the question, it pays off. Like, there's a reason why that is so handy. And it's because your learning just skyrockets because of it. And, you develop faster ultimately. And we see that in ticket closures per week. So when I'm looking at stats at the end of the week for engineers and sort of seeing what sort of numbers people have done, how many tickets they've closed, how much feedback they've got from customers, it tends to correlate with a peak in performance. So
that's good.
Always encouraged.
I love that. And obviously top tip there is ask the question. I think we've all been reluctant at some point where we're like, like you said, I'm too far into this job, I should know this, but never be afraid to ask those questions. Questions are always good. I've
done it myself as well. Like, I've been in that position.
I feel like it's a human response as well to be like, I'll just hold back, I just won't say anything, but obviously there's power within asking those questions and learning. You don't know what you're going to get from that answer.
Exactly.
No question's a silly question. Right, okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the future of IT. So do you have any thoughts on the current direction of the IT industry and the job roles that are out there? Do you think there are going to be new job roles out there, specifically within AI and their advancements? Do you think that the job roles are going to be different in the future?
I think different technologies will come into the IT support world. AI is a massive advancement in the industry. I think like I was saying before, I think we're now starting to see the benefits of AI sort of daily on our help desk. You know, we've put things in place to really use AI as a tool to try and help us and make us more efficient as a service desk. So I certainly think there will be more jobs in and around AI and, you know, building tools that are useful to businesses. I think the cloud aspect of IT is much bigger now than what it was sort of 3 years ago. And I think as a desk and as a business, we're only building more and more cloud solutions for customers. I mean, it's a lot more cost effective for customers. It's a lot more dynamic. It's so flexible in terms of what it can do on demand. You know, you can create a machine in Azure now in a matter of seconds. And if you compare that to sourcing that from a provider, waiting on it arriving in your office, configuring that machine, then deploying it out to the user, the timing and the efficiency is just incomparable, really. So yeah, definitely cloud. I think it's a really cool part of IT, cloud, I think, to get into. I think there's loads of stuff within there that is great for development. I think, you know, it's a very new part of the IT industry, and I think it's quite exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Had I, you know, gone back in time, I think I would probably get into cloud a little bit more. It seems like a good thing to do to sort of, I don't know, look into the future and see what is in demand, or what is, even better if you can, what's gonna be in demand, and try and sort of, given that you're interested in that, try and skill yourself up in that area. And then, you know, in a few years' time, once you've got a few certifications under your belt and the experience, you've sort of set yourself up in a really good position there to, you know, be competitive and progress and develop quite fast.
Yeah, it is really exciting to hear all the things that are just starting out and things that are going to be amazing within the future. But just taking it back to your apprenticeship, what like skills within that are helping you today? Like, do you think those modules that you covered, like, are they helping you in these advancements?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did a few different modules as part of the apprenticeship. That was like networking. We did do a bit of cloud as well, security, server stuff. I think one thing I specifically remember from doing my apprenticeship is I can't remember what module it was, but I'd basically been on a webinar doing my apprenticeship for a week. And then I remember on the Monday I came back, and because I was an apprentice and because I was quite new to the role, there was a lot of like technical conversations that I felt like I couldn't really get involved in and sort of contribute towards. And I guess part of that is natural, you know, we were a small IT team at the time. And, you know, I appreciate some conversations are going to be had where, you know, my technical expertise might not quite be there yet. But I remember coming back from my apprenticeship, and in a Monday morning meeting, I started to sort of understand what people were talking about, and I could sort of chime in a little bit and contribute towards the conversation. I just thought, like, God, that's like firsthand. Like, I've gone away and I've learned something, and then I've come back, and then literally the day I've come back, I've been able to sort
nice
of
to be able to understand it.
It's good. Yeah. It was really good. Yeah. And that happened a few times throughout the course of, you know, my apprenticeships, is that I would go away and learn something, and that would either contextualize something that I've already heard. So I could sort of look back and go, oh, that must have been what that person was talking about, or that must be what that ticket's for. Or it would help us going forward to, you know, get involved in conversations and contribute towards conversations that were happening. Today, yeah, definitely today. I think the soft skills equally as much as the technical skills as well. I mean, going from college where, you know, everyone was my age, to like an office environment where really there wasn't many people at all my age. I was sort of 17, 18. Most of the people that I worked with were just naturally older than us. So even just the people skills, to be honest, and you know, having conversations with with different kinds of people, learning to adapt to certain people and how to speak to them and how to best communicate with some people. That I think it's often overlooked, the soft skill side of things. And I learned that in my apprenticeship as well, sort of how to adapt to different scenarios, whether it be customers or staff or, whoever it might be. That was really handy too.
I feel like they're very, very good skills to have as well. But it's really great to hear that the stuff that you covered within your apprenticeship is still relevant today. And obviously that's expanding and you're developing in your role. But yeah, I agree. Like, it's the environments that you're in that you're also learning more outside of your apprenticeship and those soft skills and people skills, which is really great to hear. But just before we wrap up, Sam, is there anything else you would love to share? Any other advice or top tips you could give to our listeners?
I would say the biggest thing for me, I mean, looking back in my career, I wish I'd become certified a little bit sooner. That would have opened up doors for us. And I think initially I was a little bit scared, isn't the word, but just sort of apprehensive. And it's almost like I was limiting myself, thinking, I'm not going to be able to do that certification at this point because, I just don't know. It was almost like I was doubting myself a little bit. But I think it's there for the taking. And I think, go push yourself. And I think there's no certification that is unattainable just because of where you are in your career and timing. We see some people who come through sort of the ranks here in the service desk, and we get someone who starts in quick fix, who's mega keen, and they go away and they certify themselves and they really learn from the people around them and push themselves and take the initiative to just do things that they know are gonna benefit them long term. And those are the kinds of people who just sort of progress really fast, and it's great to see. Everyone sort of loves to see someone stand out so much, and and it's because they've gone to get certified and they've studied. And I think I was a little bit apprehensive on like sacrificing my personal time when I first started, but in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing in terms of your career. It's so worth it. Like, even now, when I do an exam, I just think, why have I waited this long to do this? Like, the rewards and benefits that I get off the back of doing this exam are fantastic. And it's almost like an addiction as well at a point.
You just want to keep going.
You've done one, you just want to do the other. So it's a healthy addiction to have.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'd encourage people to push themselves and just go get certified and learn from the people around you, really.
No, I love that. Honestly, Sam, this has been a super insightful and inspiring episode. I know there's going to be learners and listeners on here just thinking, I would just want to go for it. And I know you've obviously explained where you started from being in college and developing into the role you are in now. And I know a lot of people will have been inspired by what you've said. So thank you so much. And thank you for coming onto this show. And thank you for letting us into your beautiful office in Newcastle. But how have you found it?
Yeah, great. Yeah? It's good to talk about it. Like I've never, I guess, had an opportunity to sort of give advice, and at least on this level, to apprentices as well, and discuss my career. So it's quite nice to look back on, I think, sort of talking about it. Yeah, well, we're definitely cheering you on. Obviously, I know you started in an apprenticeship and you've gone through so many different roles. So we're cheering you on in the role that you're in now and where you're going to go in the future. But yeah, thank you so much. And we hope that everyone who's listening to this podcast episode, that you're feeling inspired and equipped, and we hope you enjoy it. Before we say goodbye, remember to hit that subscribe button so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or check out our full videos on YouTube or Vimeo. Don't forget to stay connected as well by following us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook and TikTok at Baltic Apprenticeships for updates and announcements about upcoming episodes. Why not share your thoughts? Your questions and suggestions are always welcome, as we're always looking to bring you topics and guests that matter to you. Feel free to reach out to us at yourfuture@balticapprenticeships.com. Thanks for listening.